Welcome to another episode of the Atlantic Bushcraft Adventures. Tonight, episode, where are we at? 64. And without,
64.
what's that?
64.
I know, right? Like, we're going a long ways into this now, but we thought we'd change things up a little bit. Maybe have a little bit more of a lighthearted episode in light of everything that's been going on with lockdown and things easing up a little. Spirits are picking up, so we thought we'd chat a little bit about our weekend adventures, or more specifically, Ben's weekend adventure. He had some wildlife adventures and some boating adventures, and I'm hoping, or we're hoping, that everybody else got out and had a pretty good time. So if you're going to join us, hop in. I got the chat open, and let's just have some fun. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your weekend, Ben? I mean, you had a more exciting weekend than I did, honestly.
Well, I don't know. But no, we did have some pretty exciting things. So we got down to the cabin. That was our big plan for the weekend. Originally, I was supposed to take my oldest and go to Keji, but that didn't happen. So this was the next best thing. I love getting to my cabin. Got the canoe and the kayaks and the water and stuff. Got everything cleaned up and ready to go. And the first morning, my daughter said, "Let's go in the boat." So we jumped in the canoe and paddled around the lake. And the wind was up a bit. I don't know. Have you ever tried paddling a canoe with a small child in the front and you in the back?
No. Nope.
It's real fun when the wind blows in. It's like a weather vane, eh? It's all the front end's gonna go always with the wind. So, anyways, through the struggles and stuff, we got to the sheltered shore, and it got much better. And we seen a whole bunch of turtles. She always loves seeing turtles and stuff. So that was a good little trek. And the next day, me and my wife were going for a walk. Now, we're going to try and reach out and see if we can get some more information on this maybe in a future episode. But as we were walking away from the cabin, I had a dog with me and the wife, and we were just walking. The Bubble family had the other kids, so we were fine. Anyways, the dog ran over to the woods and started sniffing at something. So the wife went and grabbed her and pulled her away. And there was this little fluff ball with two little eyes just looking at it. Like, just looked like a ball of fluff. And it didn't take us long to realize that this is a baby owl just sitting on the ground. Cutest little thing, little barred owl. And all the way around it were like 3 or 4 little dead animals. So the mother obviously knew that this thing had fallen down. It was perfectly healthy. And had been trying to feed it and take care of it, but it couldn't get back up. It wasn't very old. And I think I sent you some pictures.
Yeah, I might be able to pull those up. Just give me a moment. You keep chatting, I'll see if I can find them.
So anyways, it's a cute little guy. So anyways, we said, well, it's the mother seems to know where it's to, and it should be fine. So we walked away from it and did our walk, and we came back about an hour later, I guess, and it was still there, just sitting there, not moving or doing anything exciting. So went into the cab and I did some research. And after about 5 minutes, I said, well, that's enough of that. I'm going to call Hope for Wildlife and see what they got to say. And they weren't on the phone with me very long, and they said, well, we should probably get it back in its nest. She said, I'll send someone out right away, and we'll see what we can do with that. So anyways, I had a call a couple minutes later and said, do you have a ladder or anything? I managed to locate a ladder that would get up into the only tree that made sense that would hold this owl, which is a big broken off pine with an opened end.
Transition over there. Should be a picture of the owl there.
There's the little guy, and then off to just to the right there, you can see like a baby.
Right here.
Yeah, that's a baby rabbit, I think. I'm missing its head. And then a bit closer to it, that's a mouse, and just behind it, there's some kind of black. Just to the left, I think. Might be hard to see. Yeah, there's somewhere. There is a. Yeah, it's right. It's directly behind it now. The black thing, whatever that.
I kind of see a corner of it there, but
I never looked at it closely enough to figure out exactly what the animal was. But anyways, so the thing was fine, and the other picture, I put a a table up next to it, and it actually crawled over to the table just to get out of the wind.
Yeah, because it was fairly windy over the weekend down here, at least.
it was a really windy day, and the wife went up to check on it at one point while we were waiting. It didn't take Hope long to get there. I think all told, from when we seen it, with an hour walk before we called anyone, within 3 hours it was back in the tree, and I hope it's fine. It seemed to be fine when she put it up there. So it was a very interesting thing. They came, they put it in a box. We climbed up the tree, or you know, and she got up and she looked around, and sure enough, there was a squirrel up there dead for food, and she was pretty sure that was the home. So when she got down to the bottom of the ladder after going up to check it out, she said, "The mother's watching." And I said, "Oh, really?" She said, "Oh, yeah, she's right there." And she pointed, and none of us had noticed it before. I don't know how long it was there, all day or not. But like 3 trees over, right above where we park our cars, here is the mother just sitting next against the trunk of a spruce tree, not moving, not doing a thing, just watching us the whole time.
So, I'm not an expert on owls or nothing. Would would the little one be old enough where the parents would start trying to push it out to learn to fly, or do they figure it fell out on its own? Or
No, that so my understanding of any bird, and I do know a little bit about birds, and there's people with a lot more knowledge about birds than me, but when they still have all those super soft feathers that fluff, they're not hard enough feathers to properly fly. So that animal is definitely too young to be attempting to fly or anything. So it wasn't very heavy, and even at that little size, though, like the claws on it were still kind of impressive. You could see them just poking out from its body and stuff. So it was a pretty neat little thing. I gotta say, it was kind of impressive.
I mean, yeah, you can kind of, yeah, okay. Now that I take another look at it, obviously that thing can't fly, but you can kind of see the talons coming out there. Obviously, no wings yet, but like you said, it's covered in that baby fluff, so it must have
Yeah,
just kind of wandered out on its own, or the wind blew it out, or something like that, eh?
so on the wings, they'll get what's called flight feathers, and actually, if you want to prevent a bird from flying, you actually cut their flight feathers, and it takes them a few weeks or months to grow back flight feathers. You only have to cut so many of them, and they won't be able to fly. So um, I knew people with like parakeets and stuff. They would clip the flight feathers, and people who raise different types of birds, you clip the flight feathers, and they just won't fly. They walk around and stuff. But if you don't pay attention to it, eventually they'll grow back out, and next thing you know, they'll be up there practicing flapping. And next thing you know, they're gone. Right?
I think the in-laws, they had budgies, and if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, they used to say they were clipping the tip so it couldn't fly away or something like that. I'm not a bird expert at all, so there's somebody out there going, "Ah, you're an idiot." I know that, but I mean, I'm not a bird person. I know nothing about birds. But
Yeah. No.
no, that was kind of
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah. Next day we went out again. This time the wife went with us, and we went around the same route that we did in the boat. And she was in her kayak, and I think there's some pictures there too that I may have sent you. But
I got
um,
I got
that
a
time we
video.
actually came across. There was at
There we go.
least 6. I think there was more than 6. There's probably 7 or 8 for sure. Turtles on a single log, and we found this little baby one, and it was probably like 2.25 inches across the back.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see in that. Oh, wrong picture. Well, a
Ooh.
little hard to see in that picture, but it is right there.
Yeah, I think I sent you a video too, but
Yeah, I can you hear this video?
I don't know if you want to hear it. But yeah, so this is me trying to paddle while holding a phone, so horrible steadiness and stuff. But
What is a baby?
most of the turtles had jumped off, and all it was left was this little tiny baby.
Trying to video.
And there it goes there.
No, that's the mother.
Oh, where's the baby then?
Yeah.
Still there.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, just right there at the end. Let's me skip
Yeah.
ahead here. Right there.
Yeah. In fact, and maybe I shouldn't do this, but it actually jumped. I got quite a bit close to it, and it jumped off, and I was able to put my hand on it. I just picked it up. I had it in my hands for a few seconds to let the girl see it.
Yeah, I don't think turtles are they don't get deterred by human scent. I know with natural resources, we used to do wood turtle surveys, and you'd have to notch them, right, to count experiences, because wood turtles are endangered, and they did studies on them, and they need to count them and stuff like that. And I don't remember there ever being any ill effects of it. Now, once again, not a turtle expert in any way, shape, or form. Wendy is from what is it? The Natural Resources Education Center. So if you have any questions about turtles, reptiles, and stuff, great place to call there. Great source of information. But yeah, we used to notch them and count them and log them and GPS them and all that good stuff. And I don't remember her ever saying there'd be ill effects from it.
Yeah. I mean, these were cute little guys. And there's tons of them around our cabin. We have those. I'm not sure if they're painted or wood turtles. I'm not super familiar with the species.
They look like painted turtles. They got the red bellies on them, the red stripes around the head and stuff. But once again,
that's
not
what
an
I
expert.
always thought they were. And when they're swimming, you can see like an orange along the back of their precipice. There's the back of the shell and the back of their legs. So it's pretty prominent. And there's also a bunch of, and I didn't see them this weekend, but there's a couple of really big snapping turtles in that lake.
Yeah, when you and I were up there, I remember you saying something about snapping turtles, and as everybody knows, snapping turtles are not the turtles you want to play with or let the kids, poke and prod, because they will literally give you a good snap, and if they get big enough, they can take a finger off.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard stories, never seen it myself, but people lose the ends of their nose because they'll bring them up to their face being foolish, and they'll snip the ends of their nose off. Like, not big chunks of their nose, but take the whole tip of your nose off. Enough to be painful and learn you a lesson, right?
I do not think I would put my face in front of a snapping turtle.
Well, some people don't know better. I mean, what I mean?
This is a lot of handsomeness to put at risk.
Oh, I see the way we're going to play this game now, are we? But, no, but it was good. You got up there, you got to the cabin. You spent the whole weekend at the cabin?
We did, yeah.
So what was the water temperature like? I assume it's still pretty frigid.
I wouldn't go swimming.
No, but
honestly, I had my hands in the water a few times, and it isn't bad. It's surprisingly warm already for the time of year and stuff. Not quite warm enough to, like I said, I'd go for a swim or anything. But I think they're calling for like 25 degrees Friday or something in this area.
Yeah, it's supposed to, well, I mean, it has been a great week so far. It's supposed to extend right through until next Tuesday, I think, or Wednesday. There's one little chance for down here in New Glasgow anyway. There's like one little chance on a Friday for a little bit of rain. But I mean, it's been an amazing week. Lots of people out walking around. Seeing lots of people trying to head out and do some camping. The four-wheelers are back on the trails a little bit. I don't know the legality of that, but whatever. I'm assuming you're allowed out now for fishing and going camping and whatnot. We are now allowed having campfires in our own backyards and some sort of pit, but that's been opened back up, so you've seen a lot of those go in the last couple days.
And we definitely had, well, as we were driving down Friday, it was the first day you were allowed to have fires in a backyard fire pit or container, whatever they called it. And I asked the wife, I said, like, so, did you check and just make sure our area is open, not closed for any other reason or whatever? And she's like, yep. And as of 2 minutes ago, we can have a fire. So it was like 7:02.
I think it's, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm trying to pull it up here. If I got this right. I can't remember if it's burn safe or safe burn. Yeah, it's burn safe. So if anybody doesn't know, Natural Resources has a website, and I mean, you should know this if you do anything outdoorsy-wise. But if you don't know, Natural Resources has this wonderful little site, if I get the screen right, and it'll tell you the areas across Nova Scotia and the burn restrictions that are in effect. Now, right now, because of the COVID-19, you're only allowed to have campfires on your own property in some sort of burning device. So a burn barrel, a fire pit, a chiminea, something like that. But generally, if we weren't in COVID-19 times, you could come to this website and find your area. They're all listed down the side here. And it'll tell you what your burn restrictions or lack thereof are. So you have restricted, which is orange, which means you are not allowed to burn until after, burn restrictions for May 20th. 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So if you go down below, Tells you a little bit here. Burning is permitted between the hours of 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. By 8 a.m., they mean you can't just be putting it out then. It has to be out cold. Of course, if it's red, that means it's a no burn day or absolutely nothing going on. Doesn't matter if it's in a chimney or any of that thing. And then green is a burn day from 2 p.m. to 8 a.m. You're good to go, and that would include your campfires and stuff like that. Anyway, that's my rant on that. I mean, it's a good little piece of information for people to have out there if they were not familiar with it. And that's where we get all our information from. And I mean, if you want to be legal and not get in trouble, which of course none of us do, that's how we all check it out.
I highly recommend you try and do everything as legal as possible.
Well, it stops complication. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to agree with it. I'll be the first to say that. But it stops a ton of complication if you do it legally.
My grandfather always said, if you're going to break the law, just be willing to pay the price.
Yeah, and unfortunately the price is getting too high nowadays. Gone are the days where you get like a $15 ticket and you're on your way. Like, they're throwing out some hefty fines. Mainly, once again, due to the COVID stuff. But, I mean, they're trying to deter people. But, I mean, the fines are getting high. $700, $800. A friend of mine was on a four-wheeler when that no travel thing was in there. They didn't want you in the woods on a four-wheeler. And got a fine for like $800 for unnecessary travel or something.
Wow.
So, I mean, the fines are getting crazy. So, do it legal, and you don't have to pay that.
It's not only the fines, too, though. Like, I find, and this is off topic for sure, but it's the inconvenience. So, yeah, even if you get the fine, you say, well, I'll fight it, and I could win. Well, okay, yes, but still, you're looking at a day, maybe two, going to court, making your arguments, and you may or may not win. So then if you lose, then it's 2 days pay or 2 days vacation or 2 days sick time or whatever you did to get it, that I can't personally afford to be losing in addition to. So I'm not giving up another day camping.
No, and that's the thing. Like you said, it's highly inconvenient at the very minimum. It's just not worth it. I mean, once again, you don't have to agree with it. It's inconvenient, but just follow the laws and no problems. You know what I mean? You live to go camping another... Well, not live. That's pretty extreme. You're free to go camping another day. If you're doing anything massive enough that you have to worry about if you're going to be alive, you got to reevaluate some of your choices, I think.
Oh, but no, you work to live. You don't live to work. And I go to work so I make enough money to get time off that I can go camping without anyone harassing me.
And I mean, there's truth to that. You know what I mean? Like, so you don't want to eat up that spare time, but... Anyway, so what other adventures did you have out there at the camp?
That was a big part of it. I mean, it was just nice to get out and get a change of scenery because I've had these four walls for quite a while now, and it was really nice to get out and do something different. And all three of the girls, they were excited to go. They didn't want to come back, even though that meant they didn't have their Netflix or this or that. I mean, I'm not saying none of it because they did download some before we left.
But you know what? It's funny how little of a concern that is once you actually get out somewhere like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't miss it when I'm gone. Mind you, I don't miss it when I'm here. So, bad example. But most people, once they get out and start enjoying stuff, they don't miss it. Facebook. That's a big one that everybody seems to be addicted to. We're on Facebook. So, I mean, it's a lot like calling the kettle black, if you know what I mean. But... nobody misses Facebook when you're out in the woods. You're just at peace. Things are... well, some people might. Most people don't miss Facebook when they're out in the woods. So it's just nice to get out and enjoy, and especially now where the restrictions are being lifted a little bit, get out and enjoy some stuff. Leave the technology behind. You've been stuck with it for... how long has this been going on now? 3 months? March, April, May? Yeah, 3 months. Yeah. Going on to our 4th month.
Well, I guess it's really say it's 2 months because March and April is the 1 month. So
yeah,
middle of March to middle of April, and then middle of April to middle of May. So we've been over 60 days now. Some type of confinement, depending on.
But the thing is, lots of time to play on that crap. Now it's time to go out and have some fun. But I mean, doing it safely, of course. That doesn't mean get all your buddies together, throw in a truck, and bomb down the old fishing hole and sit shoulder to shoulder while you drink beer and fish. No, that's not what it means. But it means
alcohol.
I mean,
alcohol,
that's right. Yeah, I mean that's what they're telling me. But and the big thing is the family bubbles are now open. A lot of people are excited about that. We have in-laws coming down this weekend. They're rather excited for it. So they're going to get to see Lily for the first time in 60 days. Actually, longer than that because they were on vacation when this all kicked out. They were down in Mexico since I think the second week in February, and then they came in 2 weeks or something like that. Or yeah, they were. Yeah. Maybe it was the middle of February because then they had to come back and then they had to self-isolate. Then by the time they were done self-isolating, there basically was everything was locked down. So however long that's been anyway. But yeah, no, it was a good weekend for you. I mean, not as exciting for myself in the outdoorsy aspect. I mean, I got a new vehicle, but I mean that's. Well, yeah, I flipped through it by accident, but got a new vehicle, got a new Ranger. The old one was. She was a good truck, but it was time to move on. I got the little one now, and Melissa couldn't drive the old truck, so now we got the new truck, and it's all decked out, so hopefully we're going to get in the woods and get some adventures with that thing, and now Lily can get in it with us, because the old one didn't have a back seat, and we can all go on some adventures is the idea. So we're talking about maybe next week, the start of next week, because I have a Monday off, we may go try to get to the waterfalls where you and I went camping the first time.
Oh, yeah?
And we may try and take Lily. So this could be a very interesting time. I don't know if it's easier to go up the path like I normally do, or if I should go park where you and I did and walk through the woods with a 4-year-old. So that's going to be my interesting adventure next week. The only thing I really did bushcrafty related this weekend past was I was working on that video, as I told you. I didn't work on it a lot because I was shuffling around with the vehicle, but I did work on a video a little bit, and I am tipping the cards a little bit because there is an unlisted extended version online right now that can be watched. And I will put the link to that in the description of this video once it's up and all that stuff, and then I'm going to cut it down because the uncut version is like 56 minutes long. And what the video was I did boil testing. Remember the episode you and I did about cooking without having open fire, and we talked about the penny stove and a few other things. So I tested them to see what was going to be our best methods. And I took the penny stove, which I'm ashamed to admit was not as efficient as yours. Didn't look as nice. We're going to need a lesson in making penny stoves, apparently. Hey, it worked. And I think I got a boil time of 4 minutes out of it for 2 cups of water.
That's not bad.
No,
I think we can improve on that. I bet you we can get it down to less than 3.
Well, my problem is the jets on it because, instead of having that nice little blue flame like you had, my jets were like 6 inches tall, so the holes were a little too big, I think.
What did you use for holes?
I used the smallest drill bit I had.
It's like an 1/8 inch.
I don't know. I'd have to go look. I think it's like, it's not that big, though. It's not that big.
It's the push pins?
Like this kind of push pin or like a tack kind of push pin?
Like a tack kind of push pin.
Okay. It would have been about that size, the drill bit.
That's what I used. I just pushed those in.
But anyway, like when you see the video, because it's up now, I think. I'll send you the link when I'm done. You can skip to it and you'll look at it and you'll just start shaking your head and go, oh my God, Robert, why? And you're going to be sad at me and you're going to lose faith in me a little bit, but it worked. Bottom line is it worked. And this video is 100% uncut. It's literally me. You see me standing around waiting for this stuff to boil, and it's 56 minutes long because I did the alcohol stove, as I said.
I tried like little dances or anything?
No, I stared out the window and you hear me talk to squirrels and stuff like that. It's actually kind of funny to hear. It's going to be a very long time, so if you're really bored and you're still in lockdown, you can watch it. And you'll hear some funny things that I say because I talk to myself a lot. So anyway, I didn't start off the alcohol stove. I started off with that gel methanol. And what the gel methanol is a buddy of mine at work picked them up from Crappy Tire. And it was in the camping section, funny enough. So we thought it would be for cooking. But it's the ones that you generally see when they do catering and stuff. And they slide them under the big metal bins to keep stuff warm. So we tried that. Long story short, did not work as effective as I wanted. But if you want to see the full thing, watch the video. Then we did the alcohol stove. And it was, aside from a little tricky to get going, because it was a little cooler, and it was hard to get it primed. Once again, that could be my design maybe lacking a little bit. We'll chat. More so, you will probably ream me out once you watch the video.
I will not ream you out.
Oh, I don't know, Ben. It's pretty bad, bud. Um, actually, no, it's not. It worked. So, you know what? That's all that really matters. And then I used the butane burner. And of course, no surprise, butane burner worked the best. But also the highest cost involved. You know what I mean? Yeah. The penny stove came in second, and it had the lowest cost involved, which was kind of surprised me because I was pulling for the methanol, honestly, because it was complete enclosed container. Like, it was just perfect for what I thought this would do. And then, of course, the methanol trickled in. And I think the first time I did the methanol, it was like 15 or 16 minutes. I left the cover off the pot because I assumed this thing would actually heat up, and it didn't. So then I did it again at the end of the video with the pot cover on, and I think it still took like 8 or 9 minutes. And it wasn't even a spectacular boil. Like, it was very unclimactic.
It wasn't a rolling boil. It was just like
barely.
That's good enough.
It was just barely a rolling boil. Like, you kind of... It would be a 50-50 split. Somebody might say, oh, yeah, that's kind of a rolling boil, and other people are like, no, that's not a rolling boil. Like, I showed a picture of it, or a little video of it. But anyway, it's completely uncut, and it's right start to finish. And I have 2 cameras on the stop timers, and it's completely uncut. That way, if people really want to know, that's like the timer's in there. You can go by the timer that I put on the cell phone, I guess I use. And like I said, I'm going to shorten it down so this video is only like 10 minutes long. But it's going to cut out all this other stuff. But I did want to put it up in the full length. That way, if anybody's like, oh, maybe there's trickery involved there, or they're using something and not getting the same results, they can watch me do it and how I did it. And results may vary, of course, with individuals and climates and conditions and a whole bunch of other stuff. But that's kind of why I did the uncut version, was so you could see exactly how I did it. And then if people want to try this and they're relying on this information, they see the conditions I did it in exactly step by step. And all the difficulties I had. And the most funny part of it was me using that alcohol stove, trying to get it lit. Because when I first lit it, it shot like a rocket. That was great. It just popped. And I was like, oh, it's going to make a little pop. And there's like this whoop. I was like, oh, that was a little more than I expected. And went back to it. And, oh, yeah, great commentary. So if anybody's bored, watch the whole version or skip through it at least. And you'll find some funny bits in there. And then I'll do a condensed version of it that I'll actually list on our... what?
Highlights.
yeah, the important parts. And I'll actually list that one on our channel for watching, and I'll try and get that down to the 10 minutes, because I'm not big on all that dead time. But it is there to prove a point. And because the YouTube service is free, so why not? I'm not paying for that bandwidth.
But, I mean, you brought up a really good point, though. Like, the alcohol stove is by far the cheapest stove you can get. And it's effective. It does work.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, as you play with them, as you make them, and you play with your jets and your locations and stuff, you can get kind of dial it in a bit better. And it's very comparable to a bot system, you know, like something that was, for lack of a better word, engineered. I have limited belief in engineers. I work with a lot of them, and I gotta say, like,
but
if you're still not intelligent, you can pretty well do anything they can do. So but no, if you take your time, experiment, play around, you can really tune that in to be a fairly effective stove. And what are you out? 10 cents plus a bit of fuel.
I was going to say, I have so many cans in the sunroom out here now, like it's starting to overflow because they just opened the Bottle Depot last weekend, and I didn't realize that. So this weekend, old Roberto's cleaning out the sunroom, and he's going to have a lot more room. But, yeah, there must be enough out there to make, probably 200 penny stoves. Like, because there's nothing to it. Ben showed it on the video that we did there, and it's just 2 bottoms of a can, and, you know, there's a little finessing involved. And you put them together. There's a hole in the center of the top one where you prime it and fill it. And then, as Ben said, you poke holes around the outside of it to make jets. And through trial and error, you'll get some that are good, some that are bad. And once you get a good one, you own it. And the name penny stove is because typically you take a penny to cover that hole so the flame just comes out the jets. And I did say during the video the only real drawback, and it might be my design again, because I have seen them where they've set them right on top of the penny stove and it works fine. With mine, you need a little bit of little bit of spacing, or it seems to snuff itself out.
Where did you put your holes?
I don't have a can here. So if this was the can, it's not like on the top. I put it in that sunken in whip on the outside.
Sort of in the convex side of the outside of it.
Yeah, and I tried to put them in on an angle to try and get that whole swirly jet thing. That didn't happen. Like it's.
I've seen some people put it on the flat of the can.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I wonder how that would work. I'm actually going to try, and I apologize if this all goes to snot. I will try to pull up a picture of how this thing worked. Because, like I said, it's entertaining. It's entertaining.
You can also look up the cat can.
Yeah, I seen that. I haven't made one yet.
It is dead simple. I tried one of those, and the only problem I actually had with mine, and I don't know what I did wrong. Maybe it was the particular brand I bought. But I actually had my can crush under the weight. And it didn't do it until I was cooking. So, like, just the weight of the pot didn't, but I guess the whole thing heated up and it weakened the metal enough under heat that it literally collapsed on itself.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I haven't actually taken an attempt at trying to do one yet. I'm going to try and see if this works. And I have my doubts. So, and I'm doing this live, of course, everybody. So,
I can see your mouse moving around on my screen.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the video shrunk down to a point where I can... holy moly. Can I... Alright. Is this going to work?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It doesn't seem to be working. It does not seem to be working at all.
Flashing.
It's not going to work. So anyway, the video is going to be there. Jump in around 27 minutes, 14 seconds. And yeah, I don't know why it's not working. It's not broadcasting in our window correctly. So we'll scrap that. But anyway, yes. And it has the split camera. And you can kind of see the jets coming up. And it's just absolute utter ridiculousness, Ben. Like, it's... You will be so disappointed in me, my friend. So disappointed in me.
No. Some of my first attempts were pretty ridiculous, too.
And that's just it. I've only made maybe 3, 4 of these at best. And this is the only one I've actually ever tested and worked properly. The other ones I kind of made and set aside, said I'd get back to them to try them out. And it just never actually happened. So...
So I've looked at the titanium ones. It's like $30-something to buy. And they have nice little legs, which are kind of cool. But honestly, I'm not paying $30 for something I can pretty well make for 10 cents.
Let's see. Just checking our... Jeremy's on with us tonight. And this is the only night we haven't actually poked any fun at him. Haven't even mentioned him. I know, right?
Well, out of sight, out of mind. We've forgotten about him now.
Let's see.
Who is this Jeremy fella?
Yeah, and that's kind of what you said, was the walls got too hot, or they were too high, and they got too hot and melted. Yeah. So Gary wants to know if you did any fishing at the camp. And Chris, of course, jumped on to join us. What's up, Chris?
Honestly, I'm a bit embarrassed to say this. And I probably shouldn't say this, because then if I ever decided to throw caution to the wind... the local stores were out of the fishing licenses.
Oh, no.
And as such, I'm trying to stay out of stores more than I have to. So I have not purchased my fishing license yet, so I have been unable to fish.
Well, that's no good. So for once, I actually have my fishing license. Oh, here we go. I figured out a way that we can laugh at my misfortunes here. And I'm not going to go with my misfortunes, but I am able to pull this up in my YouTube browser. Or, you know what I'm trying to get out here. So let's take another crack at this. And I apologize to everybody listening and not watching, because they're not getting the full effect of this greatness here.
Well, I'll do commentary if you want.
All right, here we go. Let's get rid of this. Delete that. And we are going to transition over. So
on the screen, we have Robert looking quite sharp in his Atlantic Bushcraft Adventures shirt, looking trim with what looks like a pretty good haircut.
I'm telling you.
A giant ball of flames going on in front
Yeah,
of him.
so can you see that in your window there, Ben, and how high my jets are in the top right corner? Because that's kind of my second camera that I was using for the...
What are you using for fuel?
ibuprofen.
90%?
99%.
99%. Oh.
So I have a bunch of this stuff. I got like a couple gallons off it.
Oh, you're putting it inside of a...
So that's the top of the wood stove that we had, and I'm using it as a pot stand. But yeah, you can kind of see my jet disaster there, right?
I can kind of know what your problem is.
So what's up?
Part of your problem is that wood stove is actually overheating your stove.
You think?
Yeah. If you encase the flame too much, it actually creates a lot more heat, and it vaporizes the fuel quicker, and it just pushes it out so much faster that you're essentially not getting a good burn.
And like I said, maybe so. I honestly don't know.
So I would take a cookie sheet, turn it upside down so you got an air gap, and just lay it on top of the cookie sheet.
But see, I can't set the pot directly on the stove or it puts it out. That's my other problem.
Well, wait a few seconds. It should heat up enough to maintain itself.
All right.
But if you absolutely still have to, try to see if you can just make up a set of spacers. I've done it before with wire mesh, because it really lets the flame and air travel get through. But I have had that problem in the winter, especially when things are extremely cold and the air is cold, that once you put the cold pot on it, it kind of snuffs it out. Later on, when the pot's kind of warm, you put it on, it doesn't seem to affect it at all. So there is a balancing act with those alcohol stoves of getting the temperature just right.
Yeah, Jeremy seems to agree with you that it's boiling the gas. And like I said, I am not an expert on penny stoves. Ben is the resident expert between the two of us, so that's terrifying. But no, so I am learning, and I will chronologically let everybody see my failures and successes. I don't mind, but maybe sometime in the future we'll do a little show on making one of these penny stoves and not just using them. Maybe not a podcast, but maybe we can do a video.
Yeah, well, it'd be great if someday we can get together and physically speak again, and less than 6 feet between us. I guess we could now, as long as we maintain 6 feet the distance.
Well, I have hazmat suits. I'm not above taking an SCBA in a hazmat suit. Only one of us has to wear it.
I do have a half mask system.
That probably work too. So Jeremy said use 3 temp pegs to support the pot. I've tried that. It worked okay.
Stick in your table very well, did they?
They didn't what?
They didn't stick in your table very well, did they?
No, but I mean, I tried them on the ground. I mean, but something I have seen and I want to try is somebody took and drilled 3 holes a little bigger and used stainless steel rivets.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give that one a go and see how that works out for me. Because then I don't really need a pot stand at all, and it'll allow a little bit more air gap for me. And as the temperature gets warmer, like you said, maybe things will change. I don't know. I'm still learning, as I said. Yeah. Because when I did that out there, it was only maybe 6 to 8 degrees. So it wasn't cold, but it was warm enough.
Even had you just laid 2 tent pegs across the top of it and put the stove on top of that.
Put the pot on top of that, mean?
Yeah.
Just to make a little bit of an air gap.
Well, yeah. The thing is that cold bottom of that pot, would just say like 5 or 6 degrees, whatever basically the water in the pot is. When you put that big surface on top of that stove, that's going to immediately try to cool down that alcohol inside the stove. And if it cools it down to to enough to stop the alcohol from more or less boiling, you're not producing enough gas from the alcohol to maintain that reaction. Because fire needs, was it, three things: air, heat, and fuel.
Yep.
So if there's not enough heat, it can't turn the fuel into something that's burnable. Like liquid alcohol actually doesn't burn well.
Well, no, most things don't. It's the vapors they give off that burn, right?
So that's even wood. It's basically there's a vapor, there's a gas coming out of the wood that's burning. It's not the wood itself that's actually burning. It's the gases it's releasing, and those gases are producing enough heat when they burn that they're actually singeing the wood and releasing more gases. It's a chain reaction, and it just keeps going.
I was about to say that's actually the fire tetrahedron. Is the fourth piece is the chemical change reaction. So you need the oxidization of your fuel to create the chemical chain reaction, which is another way of basically eliminating a fire. Remember halon? You must have used that in your line of business.
No.
Halon was an amazing extinguishant. Poisonous as old heck because it literally nullified the air, but amazing. And that's what it did. It basically interrupted the chemical chain reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had a priming pan there, Jeremy. You can't see it in the stove, but if you watch the whole video, it's in there. It's actually, the stove came with a little dish specifically for using alcohol stoves. And that actually sits under it, and you're supposed to put a little alcohol in it and prime it. So I used it the way the stove's manual said it should be used. And that's kind of how I got the idea of using it for a pot stand for the rest of my experiments there, too.
Did you try just putting alcohol in that pan?
I did not. Should I?
Sure.
Anyway.
That little tiny pan, like I know the one you're talking about, comes at the stove. If you filled that up and lit it off and just left it there, and then put it on top, would that boil the water?
I'd be willing to try it. I mean, I got like 2 gallons of this alcohol. So I can definitely spare another ounce of it.
Yeah. The cat cans, one of the cat can stoves is basically that. You just pour it in the bottom, you light it, and
So maybe we'll do another. You're right, Chris. That stuff did burn dirty. You could see the soot on the bottom of it, and the methyl hydrate, once again, as mentioned in that video, the methanol, it didn't do anything to the bottom of the pot.
But yeah, so if you get too much fuel coming out, you get an incomplete combustion. So you do want to control that. There's a stoichiometry equation you want to meet, and essentially, if you get too much fuel and not enough air, it's a overly rich mixture. It's too rich in fuel, and you get an incomplete combustion. You don't get the proper heat, and that's what creates this sootiness, dirty burn.
Yeah,
you don't want that.
But anyway, we're kind of diving down another topic that might be good for a video or for another podcast, so we'll leave that to bed for now. But yeah, I guess that was the end of my weekend adventures between getting the new truck and working on that video a little bit. I didn't record it, but I was editing on it with the new computer setup, so that's cool too. Worked really well. Cut my times down by like a third. Usually it would take me a minute to process 30 seconds of video. Now it takes me 15 seconds to process 30 seconds of video. So I went the other way in half, which was nice.
Wow. That is impressive.
Well, it was quite the upgrade from the old processor to the new one, and the old graphics card to the new one, and the old hard drive to the new one. So, but
yeah, no, I can understand that. Yeah, so that's more or less our weekends. Nothing super exciting or fun, but it's great to get out, great to do stuff. The only other thing I spend a bit of time with, and I don't know if you could say this is bushcraft or not, is I spent a hell of a lot of time researching watches because I want a new one. But I did find a guy, the one I picked out actually there's a bushcrafter on YouTube that went on. He has a 30-minute video on this watch and him using it for bushcraft. So,
well, that's something I kind of want to do a short video on. Is like you had an analog watch that you were showing me there, and using that as a basic compass and things like that. So I think that might be another good video. Hopefully we can hammer off sometime this summer if they allow us to get back together without too many weird restrictions in there.
Yeah, there are some things that it's a pretty basic piece of technology, a watch. I mean, and it has quite the plethora. You go to the very most basic rendition of a watch to the more advanced ones, and they're not that expensive. I found a digital one on here for like $36. It had a barometer, altimeter, a thermometer, digital compass. It wasn't all that expensive. I don't know how good of a watch
Quality control might be an issue with that.
But for all those functionality, it's kind of impressive. You know what I mean? So it's something to think about. But yeah, the most basic watch can be used. There's a whole process, and I'm not going to try and explain it, but basically you can line up the hand with the sun, and you can figure out that I think 12 ends up on north.
Halfway between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to. Halfway between.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to dip our hands too much in that because I think that would make a great video. Because it's a method. It's not as accurate as a compass, and we're not going to pretend it is. But it gives you a direction. And maybe we'll accompany that with a few other ways to get a basic direction of where you're going. Like a shadow method, the watch method, and potentially the needle and leaf method without using a magnet. Like hammering the magnetism into it, which is tricky in its own. So I don't know if that one would actually work or not, but we'll give it a shot. Yeah, Chris?
That one is you can test it by just making sure that it always does go in the same direction.
Yeah.
But just a hint of what's going on there.
I was just reading the comments there. Chris was out over the weekend getting some brookies. He sent a few pictures to me, and he got some nice ones there. And he's just saying the largest... He did get some huge brookies during the rainstorm. Largest one was 4 pounds and 22 inches long. Like, that's a nice trout. So.
Yeah, growing up, we used to, in Red Indian Lake, we pulled quite a few out that were between the 20 and the 25 inch range. And those are a nice trout, nice size.
But anyway, I think that's pretty much going to call it for us for tonight. We're at 47 minutes, so a little shorter than normal, but we kind of knew that going in. And this was just kind of a fun night, kind of a verbal hodgepodge, if you will. Just to kind of get some of the topics out. I mean, the last few weeks we've been really hitting the COVID-19 stuff, some of the restrictions on there, and it always seemed kind of down. So we just kind of wanted to have some fun tonight, or at least that was my 2 cents going in.
Yeah, just relax. Summer months are coming up. The weather's getting nice now, so I expect we'll get out and we'll be playing with a few more things and getting more opportunities with everything else going on. And the flies are coming, I still want to have that screen tent for my Wild Haven that I really want to get tested. I have not even set it up yet.
Oh, man, you must be itching. I got some new stuff here I want to play with too, so now that I got the hammock and stuff set out in the sunroom and I can do some testing, I'm going to try doing a better review on the hammock, or not the hammock, the sleeping bag, because that all got lost when my computer crashed. And so there's some stuff in the works. I know I always say that, but there's actually some stuff in the works, and hopefully there'll be some good videos coming out in addition to our weekly podcasts in the near future, because the weather's better for it, and they're finally letting us get out and do some stuff. So 2 thumbs up. 4 thumbs up. And if Lily was here, we'd have 6, but I think she's in bed. So, with that, I will bid everybody adieu, unless you have anything else you want to say there, Ben.
Nah, that's good.
All right, everybody.
Have fun. Follow the rules as best you can. And we'll be seeing you.
We'll see you next week, everybody. Have a good night.